Welcome to Born to Watch, where three old mates, an ex-video shop owner, an industry insider, and a black belt in 80s kung fu movies put their mastery to the test on movies that changed the world.
Hey there, fellow watchers. I'm Whitey, and this is another episode of Born to Watch, where three old mates sit and talk shit about the movies that changed their world. In this chapter,
I didn't think we were three old mates. I thought we had to be more tech than that to attract a bigger audience.
No, we're running with three old mates, and I know it might hurt you to say that, but we are three old mates, having known each other for 30 years. That would distinguish us as being old mates. Some of us are.
Yeah, but I'm the insider and Gal's the kung fu expert, and you own the video store, though, don't we?
Yeah, that's cool. They all know that. Everybody knows that. Everyone knows that. But anyway, in this chapter, Dan, I know you're trying to get us off the rails early on, which seems to be your MO of late. We're going to dissect the movie about a man named after a dog who attempts to save the world from violent overlords whilst discovering an ancient artifact full of vengeful ghosts. And in the end, the movie, we will discover that he played absolutely zero part in the outcome. In fact, if he never existed, the outcome would have been exactly the same. Welcome to Raiders of the Lost Ark. Now, sitting opposite me is Gao. How are you, mate?
Great. Looking forward to this episode. It's going to be a good one. Been a big week too. Bit of chatter out there in the movieverse.
Yeah, a little bit of chatter.
That's like the multiverse.
I like that.
Old cool movies.
You like that? Oh, really?
Might have had rounders into me. You know, like, if you're doing Raiders, when are you doing Temple of Doom?
Yeah, well, stay in your lane, Rounders.
I'm like, Rounders, shut up, mate.
Yeah, go and fight another Kumite.
Go back to your TV shows, mate. You're a TV guy now. We do the movies. Go and do your back kick, mate. It's terrible. Telegraph it every time. Just stay in your lane, Rounders.
Your defense was too good. And up there on the land, it's Dan. How are you, mate?
Yeah, big week on the land. I've been out to the Darling Downs, the Western Downs district with M Head to pick up a few work vehicles because it's a bit strange out there on the land at the moment. So instead of buying one vehicle, you have to buy two. So I had to tow back a massive vehicle for him driving one of his other old vehicles. And if you know M-Head as well as we do, he's not the best at vehicle maintenance. So I found out fairly swiftly that going over the Great Dividing Range in a 2007 vehicle that hasn't had its brakes looked at since it rolled off the showroom floor is a recipe for danger. So, yeah, I'm surprised I'm here this morning, to be honest. Definitely had some near-death experiences, but managed to get it back to the land, which is good.
Was it as bad as that time we had to drive through the mountains in Canada?
No,
when we were traveling.
This is early even for you guys.
It is a good story. So anyway,
this is early.
Fellow
Look, if you want to support the podcast and help the show grow,
wait, it's a good story, that one.
It's a good story.
Let me finish.
Make sure you subscribe to us on all good podcast platforms.
I was asleep.
A special thank you.
Marcus shitting himself.
A special thank you.
It was snowing. We were in a $500 car. We were driving over through Oregon and Gal. We had the Whitlams. I love hamburgers on the stereo. No
What's your
meat.
life mantra?
And anyway, a blizzard starts and there's these trucks just come out of nowhere and the G-Man thinks it's a good time for a sleep. So I'm white-knuckled, hanging onto the $400 vehicle. And yeah, that's about the last time I
If you want to support the podcast and help the show grow, make sure you subscribe to us on all good podcast platforms.
Well,
Look, a special thank you
must go
out to our OG fan as I've just turned Dan down.
He put you on the silence. He silenced you. Taken down.
A special thank you must go out to our OG fan, Johnny Bull, who was the first purchaser of our quality merchandise. Thank you, Johnny. You're an absolute legend. And we are now official professional podcasters, having sold one T-shirt. Look, you can also find us on all the social networks, Facebook, TikTok, Insta, YouTube, MySpace, all of them. Feel free to reach out and join the community. Okay, so I've got a rich history with Raiders of the Lost Ark, and I can't wait to get to overs and unders. I didn't see it at the cinemas, though, but I did make up for it for a lot on VHS and DVD. In fact, I remember that my wife, Megan, whose parents owned a McDonald's way back in the day, the special box set came out, Indiana Jones, that was sold through McDonald's, and she had that. So it was one of the go-tos at her place. I'm hoping at some stage in the near future that it comes out on one of those retro nights at the cinema because I'd really love to catch this one in the movies. Gents, When did we first see this movie? Gow, hit me.
Definitely didn't see it at the movies because, what was it, 80,
81?
Yeah, didn't see it at the movies. But watched it at home, definitely on VHS. Can't remember the exact timeline, but I was young because I remember watching this movie a lot when I was a kid.
Definitely.
It was a really, really, well, it was the biggest movie that year. We'll get to that. But,
yeah, absolutely, by a long stretch.
Yeah, so it was definitely on replay a lot in those early years at our place.
What about you, Dan? You would have caught this down in Melbourne?
This was one of the first videos that anyone that ever had a VHS or a Betamax had on tape. So yeah, I didn't see it at the movies either, and I can understand why my parents didn't take me to see it at the movies on the rewatch. There's some pretty aggressive horror scenes in there that probably aren't great for a young 7-year-old or whatever it was when this came out. So
it's no Fatal Attraction.
No, I've also got a couple of tawny frogmouths in my yard at the moment on the land, and I sent a cane toad 60 metres with my lob wedge. And I reckon I saw this quite a few times, just rocking up to people's houses as they became video machine owners. So we didn't get our TIAC until 1987, so I definitely wasn't an early adopter at that stage. But yeah, it seemed every other fucker had a video player, and if you went round there, it was, oh, you want to watch Raiders of the Lost Ark? So yeah, I've seen a lot because of that for sure.
Yeah, I'm not surprised you didn't get a VHS until nearly the 90s. I'm also not surprised that the reason that you are blind is because you had to watch all your television on a 12-centimeter TV. Anyway, here is the Raiders of the Lost Ark trailer.
You're a man of many talents.
The Ark is something that man was not meant to disturb. An army which carries the Ark before it is invincible.
Indiana
Jones! Let her go.
Snakes. Why did it have to be snakes? I'm going after that truck. Oh, I don't know. I'm making this up as I go. Trust me.
Okay, this will be an interesting over and unders, and I've set this one pretty high. So this one's obviously 42 years old. I will set the overs and unders at 40. Gow, over or under 40?
I'm definitely under 40, I'd say, but I'm pretty high. I'd be around 30 times.
30? Okay, that's pretty good.
I would think, over. I mean, you're saying it's 42 years old, far out.
It's an old movie.
And yet again, one of those ones I haven't watched for a long time, but definitely.
Not even with the kids? You haven't introduced them to the kids?
I tried a few years ago, and it was a bit before Josh's time. I think he just wasn't old enough, but he watched it with me this time around.
And how did that go down?
Yeah, quite enjoyed it. Yeah, quite enjoyed it. So, and wants to watch the second one.
He's a good caddy.
He's a good caddy. He's a good kid.
That's it.
But yeah, I under 40, but high.
Okay. What about you, Dan? Where do you sit?
Over 40, but not for a long time. In fact, I couldn't remember the part where they get on the boat at the end. I couldn't remember the sequence of how they got to be at the Nazi warehouse. Yeah, the islands. Yeah. I couldn't. That was a complete blank to me. I was like, oh, is this a director's cut? Because I couldn't remember that.
Yeah, I forgot all about that too.
Yeah. Look, I'm over 40. Oh God, I'm going to hazard a guess that I'd be 60. A lot. I watched this, and I've watched this. I've watched this with Isabel. We've been through all of them just recently, and this is another one that I would revisit once a year.
What does she think of the skeleton scenes where what's the chick's name? Karen Allen. I can't remember.
Karen Allen.
Character. Yeah, where
Marion.
she's down in the Well of Souls, and they
she's okay. She's pretty good. It's an interesting movie for the kids as to when you would introduce it, because you're right. There are some scenes which could be quite scary, but I also think that it's reasonably high camp, if you know what I mean. Like it's not it's in a comical sort of way. The scares, that bit there in the Well of Souls, like it's a bit funny.
But it's, a lot of this stuff too is old
Mm.
technology too. So
sure.
it's not like these days. Some of the things they watch now appear very realistic. Where
Mate,
on the rewatch on this, you watch it,
I'll
and you go, oh, that's
I'll probably get called out here for being a bad parent, and that's fine because I can be on some stages. But Isabel is 9. She stayed with her cousins at my mum's house, and they watched The Conjuring. Right? I did not know that. They watched The Conjuring. So from then on,
Hang on. Which parent?
my mum, and she had no idea what was going on, which is pretty standard. But the eldest is 12.
Of letting
Oh, she
you
does.
and your siblings go to movies.
If we're ever gonna watch a movie that you shouldn't have been watching, Colleen's the one to go to. Don't worry about that. But so now she thinks she can watch every R-rated movie under the planet, and I'm pulling her back, going, no. She's on. When I'm 11, do you think I'll be able to? I go, it's R18. Like, chill, be 9. So anyway,
I had Belle in the car the other day telling me the movie ratings and MA and what she's allowed to watch.
Yeah, there you go. So she lives in a dream.
She's all over it.
Yeah, she lives in a dream world. I think the kids could handle it more because I think your kids could handle this one, but that's me, and I'm probably not the world's best judge on that. Gal, why don't you tell us about Raiders of the Lost Ark?
Okay, with the tagline, if adventure has a name, it must be Indiana Jones. Join the legendary hero Indiana Jones in one of the greatest screen adventures of all time. Accompanied by his feisty, independent ex-flame Marion Ravenswood, the two-fisted archaeologist embarks on a thrilling quest.
Is that why they broke up? When you're ready, Gal.
Embarks on a thrilling quest to locate the mystical Ark of the Covenant. Indy must discover the Ark before the Nazis do, and he has to survive poison traps, snakes, and treachery to do so. Explore the darkest jungles of South America, the bustling marketplaces of Cairo, and a top-secret submarine base with Indiana Jones as your guide to adventure. And finally, witness the power of the Lost Ark unleashed as Indy stays one step ahead of the Nazis in this classic treasure.
It's not bad.
You like that? Classic treasure. Did you see what they did there?
I did.
Nice.
I did.
So getting back to that, Morgs, when I got this off the DVD cover, I was thinking, what's the top secret submarine base? I had no idea. That's how long I haven't watched it for.
Yeah, right. Well, it is. That's an interesting question as to how he managed to get there, because he swims across and hops onto the submarine. But we'll get to that.
Yeah,
that's a massive.
There's a few continuity.
That's a massive hole. Anyway, critical thinking. So we're just going to talk about how the movie rates. So on IMDb, this is an 8.4 out of 10 and actually ranks 56th on the IMDb top 250 movies, which is pretty impressive, which is probably why Morgs watches it. 96% on the tomato meter and 96% audience score. So this thing rates through the roof.
Super high.
8.4 might be low. It could be low. And when we get to the rank bank, we'll discuss it. But
have we had 96 before?
We've had a couple. We've had a couple that have been high.
Okay.
I don't know about tomato meter. I don't know how that rates. But anyway, here's a couple reviews. And
we've got heaps of tomatoes growing in our compost. Those things grow fucking everywhere.
You want me to turn you down again? Okay, here is a good review from James Berardinelli from Real Views. This is the kind of movie that, even today, audiences immediately fall in love with. It has all the right ingredients: a smart script, a likable hero, a dash of romance, more than a touch of comedy, and a lot of fast-paced action. Okay, now here's the bad review, and this is from Dave Kerr. Now, we've had a couple bad reviews from Dave Kerr. Here's the gift that keeps on giving, old Dave, from the Chicago Reader. One would think that a collaboration between Steven Spielberg and George Lucas would produce something better than this giggly pastiche of a Republic serial. That's harsh.
When did he write that?
That was written in the 2000s.
Wow. Yeah.
That was harsh.
Okay. No benefit of hindsight there.
He should.
It feels like Wayne's brother is just out to make a bit of a name for himself.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree with that. Yeah. I'm going to keep finding little pockets of gold from Dave Kerr. Anyway, Gow, ordinary people. Let's talk about the cast.
All right. Well, the big star obviously here is Harrison Ford. So a lot of early TV roles in a few big TV series in the US, The Virginian, Ironside, Gunsmoke. But it was in that period that he wasn't getting the roles that he wanted, so he actually turned back to carpentry. And became a master carpenter. But then he got his first big movie role as Bob Felfer in American Graffiti, and that was 73, and then into Star Wars 77, which pushed him into the stratosphere.
Do you know how he got the job on Star Wars? Like, because he was reading for the scripts, but he was actually, they brought him in to fix some doors on the set. It's really cool. Really cool story.
And then he was reading some of the lines, and then they went, okay, we'll give you a crack at this.
Because George Lucas didn't want him because of American Graffiti.
Well, he'd already used him.
Yeah. Lucky George.
But anyway, Force 10 from Navarone, and then Apocalypse Now, 1979, as Colonel Lucas.
Yeah, he's got a small role there.
Yeah, just a small role.
About 3 lines.
Yep. But then Empire Strikes Back in 80, and then Raiders of the Lost Ark 81, Blade Runner 82.
Massive tear.
Return of the Jedi 83, Temple of Doom 84. That's a good run in 3 years. And then Witness in 85, you got an Oscar and a BAFTA nominee for that as John Book.
Yep.
Good movie.
Good movie.
But, that's that run. Then into Working Girl 88, Presumed Innocent, Patriot Games in 92, The Fugitive 93, Clear and Present Danger 94. So he's had a bit of a renaissance there in the 90s.
Yeah, he's a big franchise guy.
Yeah. The Devil's Own, late 90s, Terrible. Air Force One.
Great movie.
Yeah. And obviously The Force Awakens recently in the saga, and then Blade Runner 2049.
2049, yeah. He reprises his role as Deckard.
He does.
Yeah, it's great. That's an excellent movie. You seen 2049, Morgs? Blade Runner?
No, I was just thinking it's something I should check out.
It's very good. Denis Villeneuve again. Excellent. Really good.
Yeah.
A bit slow, but excellent.
But just to slide into, wasn't it? A bit further on that story where he was reading for that, Tom Selleck was actually cast in this movie.
Yeah.
And then suddenly CBS greenlit Magnum PI, and he had to jump out of the role. So that was part of the reason that Harrison Ford got a look back.
Do you want to know, like, a real funny piece of trivia that is to do with Indiana Jones and Tom Selleck? Chip and Dale, the Chipmunks, dress as Indiana Jones and Magnum PI.
Oh, do they? Yeah. Nice.
So next time you see Chip and Dale, and you'll see one of them in the leather jacket and the hat, and the other one in the Hawaiian shirt, it is Indiana Jones and Magnum PI. It's both Tom Selleck. There you go.
Yeah.
Could have both been Tom Selleck.
Well, that's a big sliding doors because back then he became a massive TV star, but he didn't do many movies because you didn't cross over as much.
Magnum locked him in. Magnum sort of screwed him over for becoming a movie star.
That's right.
He did do.
What is it?
No, I'm going to save it until if you like this, you're going to like it. Okay. I'm saving it. I know exactly what you're going to say.
Yeah. But so when he backed out of that, so that's when George Lucas gave in, and then they put Harrison Ford back in there. But look, that actually leads us to 1 Degree of Quigley.
It does.
Shout out to Damo. Thanks, mate.
We love a bit of 1 Degree of Quigley.
Yeah. But look, just a little bit more on some of the roles Harrison Ford's had. He turned down Jack Nicholson's role in Terms of Endearment. He turned down Kurt Russell's role in Vanilla Sky.
Wow.
There's 1 Degree for you. Can we call that 1 Degree?
No, it's close. It's close.
1.5. He turned down Kevin Costner's role in JFK and The Untouchables. Mate, he turned down a heap of them. The Sum of All Fears. Like, he turned down Russell Crowe's role in Proof of Life.
He turned a heap down.
He turned down Nick Nolte's role in Cape Fear. There's so many of them. But yeah, so anyway, look, we'll move on. We'll move on from there. One more fact about him. What do you reckon he made for his first movie? So if we go back to American Graffiti, 1973.
$250.
He was making $500 a week.
Wow.
For Star Wars in 1977, he made $10,000. That's obviously just for what he got paid for the movie. I don't know what else he got in the rights. But the last movie he's made is coming out in 2023, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. That's the new indie movie coming out. Yep. $25 million he's on salary for.
I reckon that's low. Because the movie can't happen without him.
Well, no, but he probably gets a cut of something else.
He'll have a back end. There's no doubt. It's also that he's announced it's the last time he'll play Indiana Jones.
How old is he?
He's old, man. He's in his 70s.
Mid to late 70s, for sure. Anyway, moving on. Karen Allen playing Marion. So her first major role was only a couple of years before in National Lampoon's Animal House. She played Katie, girl in that. So that became a massive hit for her, and that sort of pushed her out into mainstream. And then she was actually in The Wanderers the year after that. We got to cover The Wanderers. Morgs, have you seen The Wanderers?
Ken Wall.
Have I seen The Wanderers?
Yeah.
Which one's that?
Ken
I was
Wall.
getting confused.
So Warriors is the one where they're in New York City and they're trying to get out. They've
Yeah.
And the Wanderers is the one that's actually set earlier than the Warriors.
It's got meat from Porky's as well.
You probably
It's another gang movie.
Yeah, it's a gang
Oh,
movie.
no, I'm
movie.
sure I've seen him. So I'm going to look
Long
at this in film school for FWITS this week because watching Raiders of the Lost Ark again made me think of copycat movies. So we're going to do a little bit who wore it best for Hollywood movies. So I've got a few movies I'm going to throw at you. But that's an interesting one too. The Wanderers and the Warriors were around about the same time, very similar plots. So there's a bit more behind it. So well done, Gow. You just jogged my memory.
Yeah, good movie. Great movie, The Wanderers. But look, then Karen Allen moved on. Raiders of the Lost Ark, obviously then Starman in 84. She was in Scrooged, played Claire Phillips in 88. And then in Malcolm X in 92. The Perfect Storm in 2000.
Yeah,
And then obviously Crystal Skull in 2008 is probably the last
She's
movie.
an interesting choice as a leading lady in this, and there's very few female parts in there apart from a college student with "Love You" written on your eyelids, gushing over Indy. But she's not traditional statuesque. If you look at all the other Indiana Jones movies too, it's very much there's an archetype there of blonde and model hot sort of thing. But Karen Allen's kind of a bit more every day. I think she's fantastic in the movie, but
she's great.
An interesting choice for the female lead in this, which I thought was refreshing.
I think it's really good. I think the chemistry between the two of them is really good, or the way they play that out. I quite like that interaction between both of them.
But I wonder what they saw in her filmography to get her across across the line for this role. Like, it doesn't her role in Animal House. It's there's not a lot going on. She's just kind of the wet blanket to old mate throughout. There's nothing that says, you should be the female lead in this next blockbuster we're putting together.
She was actually considered to play Leia Organa, to play Princess Leia.
I can see that,
and that is what they had it for. And obviously, then she didn't get that role.
She didn't,
and then they cast her in Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Carrie, that was it.
Impossible.
But I think they obviously had her in mind for that, and then went, "Oh no, we'll give it to Carrie Fisher." And then this came up, and they said, "Okay, you might be perfect for that role."
Yeah,
interesting.
Who else have we got? John Rhys-Davies as Salah. There's a lot of bit parts in this movie apart from the two major.
Bigger in films, a bigger unit. Like when I watched this, and also the bald German heavy that Indy fights near the plane when it's spinning around. I remember them both being much larger units, but they weren't huge guys at all.
No, he's not.
Yeah,
Harrison Ford's of course super lean.
He's a dwarf. He's really short. You know,
Jonathan Rhys-Davies.
Yeah, Jonathan Rhys-Davies. He's Lord of the. He's Gimli.
Nice.
But that's funny because, he was in Shogun in 90. Remember Shogun? That television miniseries? Yeah. He was in that with Richard Chamberlain, and then obviously Raiders of the Lost Ark, King Solomon's Mines with Richard Chamberlain again. And then he was in the TV show Sliders. Do you remember that? He was in quite a few episodes of that. But then after that, didn't do much, and then he was in the Lord of the Rings trilogies. Yeah. So that kind of brought him back. Yeah. Look, apart from that, there's some smaller parts. I don't know if we need to go through.
I don't think we need to.
Denham Elliott.
Denham Elliott's quality.
Yeah, not a big part in this movie though.
But he's excellent in the movie.
Yeah, he's excellent. Yeah. Obviously out of Trading Places and a few others. Bangkok Hilton, another big one in 89 with Nicole Kidman. But I don't think we need to go through the rest of them here.
No, I agree. Well done. What about budget, box office, Gow?
Okay, so with a domestic gross of 225.5 million and international of 141, it was 367 million in 1981. A budget of $20 million. And on the opening weekend did 8.3 million. Crazy. So made half its money back nearly in the first weekend. But this is by far the biggest movie of the year money-wise.
Absolutely.
It made, as you said, 367.5 million. The second movie was For Your Eyes Only, Bond movie, at 195. Yeah. So half
Growing up, For Your Eyes Only was one of my favourite Bonds as a kid.
It was good.
Yeah, the ski scenes, the Lamborghini, the white or the
Is
Lotus.
That the Beach Boys song in the ski scene? I think they have the mono boards. Is that one? I can't remember. I'll have to check it out. But
no, I don't think they do. I think it's all skis.
But look, number three,
View to a Kill.
Yeah.
Maybe, yep.
Number 3 movie was Superman 2 at 190.5 million.
Yep.
On Golden Pond, which scooped quite a few awards.
Love On Golden Pond.
Yeah, good movie, 119 million. And then
Very
Stripes
sad.
in at number 5 at 85 million.
Yeah.
But look, the awards that year, Chariots of Fire won 4 awards, including Best Picture. Raiders of the Lost Ark won 5 awards, but they were Best Editing, Best Sound, Best Art Direction. No acting chops in there. Most of those went to Warren Beatty for Best Director, Henry Fonda on Golden Pond, and Katharine Hepburn for Best Actor and Actress, and John Gielgud in Arthur for Best Supporting Actor.
Yeah. Some good movies came out in 81.
Some really good movies.
Excalibur.
American Werewolf.
Cheech and Chong's Nice Dreams.
Fort Apache, The Bronx.
Clash of the Titans, the original Clash of the Titans. That was a go-to for me as a kid. Halloween 2, Escape from New York, Body Heat. Ooh.
I'll tell you what, speaking of scary movies, An American Werewolf in London. I remember watching that, and it was pretty brutal.
Love it.
Yeah, good movie, but that was scary.
Yeah. Yeah, John Landis. Very, very good. The Howling, another what are they called? Werewolf movie? Vampire movie that you might call them, Gal?
Call them what you
From when we
want.
did The Lost Boys?
Did you say Excalibur?
Yeah, I did say
You did?
Excalibur.
You
Yeah,
did, yeah.
great movie. Eye of the Needle, after I Eat Onions.
That's you.
It was good for compilation albums, 1981. I know we've discussed this before, but we got a bit later into the piece. I think 83 was where we zeroed in. But Rocks On, 1981, Rocks On. How's these bangers? Betty Davis Eyes, Kids in America, Planet Earth, Unguarded Moment, If You Leave Me, Can I Come Too? Modern Girl, Cool World. This is huge.
Yeah, 81's a pretty good year.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tainted Love. Like, there's some great songs came out in 81. What about Adam and the Ants? What was that guy thinking?
It was definitely
What a bad,
a little
just a lot of bad
strange.
get-ups. A lot of bad get-ups in 81.
And of course, Rick Springfield with Jesse's Girl, which would go on
One of your
to be-
favourites, Morgs.
to be probably my standout favourite karaoke song.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, you
What about Whip It?
loved that for years.
Nah, I reckon I've done Jesse's Girl more times than Whip It.
Can you believe that In the Air Tonight came out in 1981?
That's crazy.
Phil
Wow,
Collins.
really?
Yeah.
Was it that long ago?
Can you believe that? That's incredible that song's that old.
Did you say 9 to 5, Morgs, as well? Did you mention that, Sheena Easton? That was
I didn't,
81.
but yes, that sounds about right. All right.
Yeah. Great year. Pretty good year, actually. We've had some bad years. The music isn't dead. All right. Well done. Any more, Gal?
No, that's it.
Okay. Question time. Is this the greatest opening scene in the history of cinema? Now, I've got a few to throw for you here. So I've got The Dark Knight, the opening scene with the four Jokers, and they're telling the story, and he's offing them all. Saving Private Ryan, the D-Day landing. Jaws, the death of Christine. Inglorious Bastards with Monsieur Le Petit and Christoph Waltz. And Raiders. Thoughts?
Fuck, you've just picked some absolute crackers.
Yeah,
And
that's hard.
I actually had this note as well to discuss,
Yeah.
but there's some ripper. Well, as
Yeah.
far as the ones that I enjoy the most, probably Inglorious Bastards out of
Yeah.
all of those. That one, just the tension is just overpowering. It's
Christoph Waltz is
incredible.
unbelievable.
Oh,
He's so
it's just-
good.
You're just
It-
absolutely entranced by that absolute evil fucking weapon, and then seeing underneath the floorboards, and what a
Yeah.
scene. But mate, all of those, there's
Yeah.
a piece whizzer between.
Yeah,
all
there
of
is.
them. For what's
I
your
think-
favorite?
I think this is Raiders of the Lost Ark is pretty iconic. Everybody from that era knows it.
Yeah.
Like you know the boulder rolling down, all of that, getting shot at. So it's pretty iconic. It's probably one of the most well known. But geez, when you stack it up against those, it's
Look,
tough.
For me, I think Inglorious Bastards is the best start to any film ever made. That you are hooked from the first minute as to what's going on there. And a little aside to that, I was watching a little documentary on the making of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and Quentin Tarantino was on the camera, and he was smoking Christoph Waltz's pipe from Inglorious Bastards. You know, the big fuck off thing.
Big thing,
He was smoking that as he's directing. I was losing it.
Very good.
But in terms of pure fun, Raiders is hard to go past. Obviously, Saving Private Ryan. I remember seeing that. I saw that with you, Dan, at George Street Cinemas on a Wednesday, the day it opened, and It's just so powerful.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, five
pretty brutal.
5 absolutely brilliant starts to movies that hook you from the first minute. Okay. Question 2. Should we be a little concerned about the past relationship with Marion? There is a hefty age difference, and to the point where is she of age when they dated?
So I refute this. So because I've heard a lot about this discussion as well. So she's 71 years old in real life now, Karen Allen. And Harrison Ford's, he's about 80 or whatever. So, and I reckon she's just a young looking lady in this film. I reckon she's 19 or 20 when they have their previous encounter that gets her dad pissed off with Indy. And then she's getting close to 30 by the time this goes on. So I'm not hearing that she's 21 in the film. That's fucking bullshit.
Okay, I'm happy with that.
Harrison Ford's 80, and if she was 71, there's a 9-year age difference.
That's it. Nah, piss off. You're all jumping at shadows there.
She was running her own bar in Nepal by that stage.
That's hefty.
She's a fucking legend, exactly.
Yeah, she's hefty.
She's smashing down the shots.
She can drink some piss. I'll give you the tip.
Hell.
Snakes or spiders? Which is scarier? Because both of them play a huge part in this movie.
Yeah, they do. That opening scene with the tarantulas.
Mate, if I'm Alfred Molina,
yeah,
I'm shitting my pants and having a heart attack all in the one with those spiders on my back. Couldn't do it.
I thought those two guys, the two Indy's assistants, I thought they didn't have much dialogue, but I thought their acting was brilliant. And I got to thinking about how that would be different in an Australian production if you had the non-supported part. It just would have been a fucking dildo just standing there going, ooh. But I thought they were excellent, excellent actors.
Well, part of Spielberg's mastery is his casting. He never miscasts. He crushes everything. So anyway, snakes or spiders? What's it for you, Gow?
Snakes are way scarier than spiders.
Really?
The amount of snakes. It's what got me when they jumped down into the pit. The amount of snakes.
Well, they weren't all snakes. And we'll get to that. But yeah, look, I'm a spiders guy. I freaking hate them. Hate them.
Yeah, I know. Remember when you karate chopped your leg almost to death?
Yeah, I was in a moving car. I was in a moving car, driving at the time. But anyway, okay, last question. Indiana Jones or Han Solo? Who you having?
Oh, that's a tough one.
Ooh,
probably got to be Han for me. It's probably got to be Han for me. Yeah.
Indiana Jones for me.
Yeah, I'm going Han Solo.
Yeah.
Far too cool.
He's cool.
But it's a photo finish. He wins by a nose. Okay, let's move into the categories, and now we have the good, the bad, and the ugly. I'm going to start. And we'll start with Dan on the land for good. What do you got, mate?
Well, you've already discussed my good because I like the opening sequence as well. I had that in there, so let's just disregard that. But is when the feds come in, so they meet Denham Elliott and Indy at the college, and they do this big exposition thing, is it the best disguised exposition ever in film? So we learn everything we need to know about what Indy's going to do and what they're looking for, but it's not hokey. Like it seems not contrived, and I just thought Lawrence Kasdan, the screenwriter, did a brilliant job there of introducing us to everything we need to know without having Captain Exposition have to come in and ruin it for us. I thought the use of practical effects in this movie is just, if you compared this movie being made now to how it would be made differently in 2023, it would be all in front of green screen, and it would just feel like it was a Marvel movie. But this was the 20 million surprises me at the amount that they would have had to spend to come up with all of especially when they're in Egypt or wherever it was shot, just creating all of that, the archaeological dig set, I thought was brilliant and seemed really vast, and I think was shot really well. You didn't ever feel like you were peering to the edge of the set. And where he has the fight with when Karen Allen's in the basket, I thought that was also brilliant. Like there's just that would never be done today, which was brilliant. I thought that the flying in 1936 looked really good, looked really comfortable.
Yeah, it did, didn't it?
Got served champagne, and there were a few stops. but it wasn't like flying fucking United in 2022 where you end up coming back with a blood clot because you're jammed in like sardines. So I thought that flying was definitely.
I thought it was quite presumptuous. I thought it was quite presumptuous. He just puts his jacket down on the seat next to him. And just goes to sleep.
But what about everyone gets a suit on too to fly?
Yeah, I know.
Who wants to fly that long in a suit?
He's got his travelling hat. That's a bit like Dan.
Yeah.
Like he's got a quiver of hats.
You've got to have your hat quivers.
I've got a couple of stats on the hat later on for you.
I really like that. I also liked that the Jonathan Rhys-Davies line, "Life goes on, Indy," what actually made it into a Pseudo Echo song in 1984 called Love and Adventure, which was my very, very favourite song for a long time. Shout out to Pseudo Echo. Apparently, I met Brian Canham a long time after, and I told him how much I loved his band at the time, and he told me, "Yeah, you and all the 12-year-old girls are into our band."
Excellent.
So that
it must have been when you had your long hair.
Yes, shot me down nicely. And my final good, and I know I had a lot for this, but the shed at the end where the Yanks store the Ark. On the land, we love a big shed, and that shed was fucking massive. So,
great shed.
Yeah, really good shed.
Great shed.
Yeah, that was huge.
Yeah, awesome. That's it. Good.
Well done, Gow.
Look, I'm going with a bit of the obvious here, but Harrison Ford, was one of my favorite actors for a long, long time. For a long time, I didn't think he made bad movies. It's like just doesn't make bad movies. He's awesome in everything he does.
Until 6 days and 7 nights.
Well, yeah, there's been a couple.
Regarding
look, I think that he's unreal in this. Yep, there's a few, but we're trying to block those out. But yeah, he's just his performance in this, and getting back to the chemistry between him and Karen Allen, I think that they both play off each other so well throughout this movie. They've got a past relationship, and there's a bit of angst there, but they do that really well. So that was my good for the movie.
Yeah, I guess so far as like, is this a perfect movie? Like, it's so perfectly made. It's so perfectly paced. There's no fat on this movie. I wouldn't take anything out of this film at all. Everything about it is brilliant. The score is John Williams at his greatest. Everything he does is great. The theme to this movie is as iconic as Star Wars, as iconic as Jaws. Like, everything he does is just so good.
Obviously he did that, but I found that too, because when I was listening to it, he slows down some of the songs, and it's just like Star Wars. Yep. He's playing the same song, just slower and setting the mood. It's amazing. It's really good score in this.
He's the best. Obviously the opening of the movie, but we've discussed that. I love the entry to the bar in Nepal where it's just his shadow in the doorway on the wall. I love that. That is so cool. The drinking game, give me a break. I just love it. When that guy takes the drink and then just passes out, it just takes me back to playing Suburbs at Woodward Street.
Yeah.
And I loved, and Morg's mentioned it before about the scale of the sets, but the Well of Souls, the whole discovery of that and the entrapment, that whole scene, that whole part of the film is flawless. Like, it is incredible. I could go on forever, but really it's as close to a perfect movie I think that's ever been made. It's quality, really is. Okay, bad. We'll start with you, Gow. Anything for bad?
Look, I've just got, as we touched on a bit earlier, there's a few continuity issues throughout the movie, and there's a few, when you rewatch it, you see a few things like when Marion jumps into the basket, and the basket, the top of it doesn't go on properly, and the next scene it's sitting on properly with the monkey on it. Just things like that where they really stand out, I guess, a little bit. Again, how he travelled on the sub all the way to the island.
Yeah.
What was his plan to get off the island? He went to a Nazi island with himself. The whole part of when he chased them, after the plane blows up, and then he chases them. He chases a whole like 3 cars full of people with no guns.
Yeah.
And just chase them down with no plan. So just a couple of things like that. I was talking to Josh going, what's he planning to do here? What's the end game?
Don't ruin it for him.
Well, no, I was like, I didn't, but you know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
There's a few things like that. And when they come flying back in, when Indy comes into town with the Ark, and then the town just hides him, and in the starting scenes they were after him, and now they've just all know to hide him.
Now he's mates. Yeah.
So anyway,
What about you, Dan? Anything for bad?
Has anyone in Hollywood ever been shit your pants drunk?
I've got this as well.
The depiction of drunkenness and the effects of alcohol on humans are just no one in Hollywood seems to get it right. Like you talked about old mate, he was so drunk that he fell over with a big smirk on his pants. But Karen Allen, who weighs 42 kilos, has gone shot for shot with him, and he's not even drunk. And you just get it, fight like it happens in every. Tom Cruise is a notable shithouse, never been drunk before. I just don't know. They just seem to. If you want to know what it's like to be drunk, come to Australia. It's we know how to do drunk, and we know how to do drunk on film way better. So yeah, I'm constantly amazed by how wrong they get it.
Well, that's the other one too. Is she's drunk. Well, they have that drinking game, and then she gets up, and she's stumbling around, and then she's totally fine straight after.
Mate, well, she has a full-on like compass discussion with Indiana Jones as he comes in the door, and she can fight. It's like she's drank. There's 20 shot glasses on the table that she picks up for her. That's what I've got for my bad. Is she's not even drunk after 20 shot glasses? Like I am shitting my pants after 20 shots.
Yeah,
there is no doubt. Probably not even that many.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah. So anyway, anything for ugly?
No, I had nothing for ugly.
Here we go. Go for it.
Airport security in 1936. So apparently India can just chuck his handgun in his luggage and fly around the world. That was poor. So, and then one other one was just that face melting scene at the end. So that stayed with me as a kid and was a bit of a nightmare episode for me for many years. That and the fucking Poseidon Adventure used to both those parts used to give me nightmares for a long time. So I think that makes it hard for me to work out who the audience is. Is this an adult's film, or when does it actually kick in? Like it's PG, I think 13, but I think there's enough horror moments in this that you'd be reluctant to show it to a super young kid. That's for sure.
Yeah, I don't know.
Not
mate.
you. You're much more liberal when it comes to, and your family.
I think you've got no, but I don't disagree with you. I think that it's one of those ones where it's obvious it's an adult film. There's no doubt it's an adult film. But it does
bridge the line pretty well.
But it does bridge the gap. I think if you're
my
looking at a movie
daughter is about the same age as I was when I first would have seen this, and there's no way
different
I would
times,
show her that.
Different times. You know, whether the times are better or worse, that's up for debate. A whole other podcast, but it is different times. I reckon they'd handle it. But, you know.
I don't remember having too bad a reaction to this. I remember it being scary, but I don't remember being super, super scary.
Yeah. You just would have put Porky's on straight afterwards and just been in your happy place.
Well, that's right. But then again, Morgs, you were scared of The Evil Dead till you were, 23 or something?
Oh.
We weren't allowed to watch that.
More.
Wasn't that
watch it again?
Later.
That is definitely the difference between what your mind plays tricks on you and the actual film itself. So, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well done. Morgs's quick fire. Take it away, Dan.
Yes, fellow F-wits. I think a little bit more relevance to this movie this week. So quick fire is where we go through a couple of categories that and we compare it to the current flick that we're reviewing. So the first one is That's Not a Knife, for a scene from the movie that has passed over into popular culture, a la That's Not a Knife from our mate Mick Dundee and Crocodile Dundee. So anything that stands out in the rewatch for Raiders of the Lost Ark, That's Not a Knife?
Oh, I've got the whip. Maybe the whip.
I think that's a good call. The whip for sure. Yeah. And I actually
that's really well known.
Yeah. I think that the Indy's whip is it's different. Like you don't bring it up in conversation, but it's definitely is instantly recognisable as Indiana Jones's prop.
And I think also the shooting the guy with the knife.
Yeah, that's it. That's the other real iconic scene.
I think they're the two iconic things that is so quintessentially Indiana Jones.
That wasn't actually in the script.
No, it was just they were all crook.
And he said, "Why don't we just do this?" And they ran with it. Yeah. Look, the one for me, and it's just more saying is you go first when Salah says, "Oh, that's you go first, Indy." I say that all the time. You go first.
I got that in my quote.
Yeah. But for my pop culture, that has gone with me for years. I say that all the time.
Yeah. No, well done.
Next one is the renamed category, Philip Stuckey from that movie we watched with Julia Roberts as the call girl with the heart of gold, called Pretty Woman, for the biggest douchebag in the film, a la Philip Stuckey and Jason Alexander's character. There's a couple of notables in this one. Obviously, the entire all the Nazis are set up pretty properly by Mr. Steven Spielberg, as you can imagine. And but I think Belloc would go hard to beat in this one. Definitely not
Belloc.
a lot of redeemable features in that knob.
Definitely Belloc.
What about Tort?
He don't really say anything though.
No. Gets his hand burnt off.
Does get he's got a ninth degree burn.
But
he's a good. I think he's a good villain. Yeah, he doesn't have to. He's very menacing. I think that scene where he makes the coat hanger out of the torture looking device is funny as balls. So no, we'll give it to Belloc on this one.
I think it's definitely Belloc.
Belloc. Yeah, and I think Indy's reaction to that was over the top too. The poor fucker just couldn't pronounce Belloc. Like, he doesn't need to laugh at him like
I actually don't think he's laughing at Sulla. I think he's laughing at it's Belloc.
Yeah, I took it that way as well.
You know, because he stole the statue from him at the start from the Jovitos. You'd be able to tell them yourself if you spoke Jovitos. So I think that's. I didn't think he was mocking Sulla. I think he's more like,
well, he said Belloc and he couldn't figure it out. And then he goes, Belloc.
Yeah.
That's who you mean.
Yeah.
Right. I didn't get that. Sorry, Harrison Ford. Okay. Cast a Caddyshack for anyone in the film that doesn't know what movie they're in, a la the entire cast of Caddyshack. And I think you said before, Spielberg does
perfectly casted
casting. So no, I don't really think that there was anyone in there that didn't know what was going on. Gow, you made a good point about the locals who hired Indy spontaneously after they were trying to fleece him previously. So yeah, that's more just stretching the believability a bit. But no, I think that everyone knew what film they were in, which is great.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Ripley running for Sigourney was appalling attempt in the otherwise.
Do you even have
Aliens.
to?
This is so easy.
Yeah,
you even have to. This could be called Harrison running. Yeah. We could change the name.
We could change it. He's a bad runner.
Oh, it's terrible.
It's like he's got go gadget arms. There's something going on. Like
he runs exactly like Ripley. He's got arms going out to the side and the knees coming up.
Yeah, it's bad.
Definitely a flaw. I think he does enough smouldering looks to the camera that you can forgive him for it. But sorry, Harrison, you get that one. Again, from the Aliens movie, this time from the director's cut, Robot Century for an additional scene that you'd like to see in a director's cut of this flick that maybe explains a bit more. Anything that stood out for you guys?
Submarine scene. I'd like to see what actually fucking happened there, because does the submarine not submerge ever? Isn't that what
does he hide in a submarine, which seems
how does he get into the submarine?
Well?
Yeah. That submarine goes a long way. A long way. And he just was on the top of it, saluting the team on the boat, and then that was it. Next thing is the island.
Yeah, weird. It was very weird.
I'd also like to see the sales receipt from the Philippines to Nepal route that he flies from to see if it made much money for the airline, because it did seem a little implausible.
It was like a little Cessna or something, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Not many people on it.
And finally, Whitey's Brad Pitt for the actor or actors from the film that you would like to have many Noonas with. Shout out to the Mean children who asked Simon what a Noona was this week. Anyone that stands out for you guys?
Oh, it's got to be Harrison Ford, doesn't it?
Karen Allen.
Yeah, I'm with you, Gav. Karen Allen. There's something about Karen Allen.
That's a safe play. Like, if you're talking about hotness levels in their sexes, Harrison Ford shits on Karen Allen.
Okay, but out of the rest of the movie,
there's no one else. Yeah. I'm sure there might be someone in the markets of Marrakesh or Cairo, wherever they are.
There's Barunka the monkey man. Not a bad looking bloke.
Barunka.
Excellent. Well played. That was quickfire.
Well done.
Well, what is that?
That's the hourly.
Okay, so listen to this, Gow's favourite segment. And we'll start with the G-Man because he loves this. He loves the stats. What do you got, mate?
Oh, we've already hit on the one they had here, which was the famous scene where Indy shoots the swordsman. And, the whole, to elaborate on that, the whole crew had food poisoning. So they tried to make, but they couldn't do it. And in the end, Harrison Ford just said, let's just shoot the sucker. And they, that went into the movie. Spielberg loved it.
Yeah. So on that, with the whole crew being sick, the only person that didn't get sick was Steven Spielberg because he ate his own food.
Yeah, he
brought
was on the
spaghetti.
canned beans or something,
He brought
wasn't he?
spaghetti. He did a warnie going to India and just taking Vegemite.
Here's a good stat for you. You'll like this one, Morgs. Indiana Jones's hat came from the famous Herbert Johnson hat shop in Savile Row, London.
Ooh.
The hat was called the Poet model. Very similar to what you wear on the land, I believe. You
Well,
have to get yourself a poet.
Harrison Ford and I both suffer from proboscis elongatus.
Proboscis maximus.
Proboscis fucking hugis. So I don't know that I would get away with running the poet. I think I'd still get quite a burnt beak. I'd need a bit more brim. But it's interesting. It seems to fit his melon quite well, and we have. I've been told I look a bit like him in the nasal department.
So the fighting scene with the airplane, where the airplane loses control, Harrison Ford actually tripped over, and the plane ran over his leg, and really stuffed his knee.
Yeah,
but but he refused to get any medical attention in Tunisia, so he just whacked a bit of a cold compress on it, and away he went, strapped it up, and away he went, a la Indiana Jones. Tough guy.
Tough guy.
Nice.
Yeah.
Have you got any more?
Yeah, I do actually. I do. So, and even though this was Spielberg and George Lucas together, no studio wanted to touch them. So they essentially had to beg Paramount to get the movie made, and they eventually relented.
Yeah, because no one would take it on.
No one would take it on.
Which is funny, isn't it? Because they were all pretty hot right about then.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, there was no two bigger names in Hollywood.
Do you think
that's
it was
right.
in the pitch, because they probably pitched it as a throwback to a old adventure story back from the 40s and 50s. So I can kind of understand the reluctance as when everyone else is doing variations of Star Wars and Star Trek and science fiction bits, and other adult comedies and R-rated comedies. I think that I can see Mr. Paramount going, oh fuck that. Don't know if this is for us. We'll take a pass. So yeah, interesting.
Yeah, so it's funny that we spoke about how good Spielberg is at casting, but apparently he's not too good at casting German-speaking actors.
Yes.
Because the Nazis are actually speaking German, but in the German release of this movie, they had to dub what they were saying, because what they were saying was wrong. So they were saying the wrong stuff. So for the German release, they actually had to dub the German in German. So, yeah. Funny. Anything else, G?
No, let's move on.
I got one more. We talked about all the snakes in the Well of Souls, but most of them were legless lizards. Most of them in there were legless lizards. And
I get your point, but they were supposed to be snakes.
No, but they were supposed to be snakes. But I'm just saying, like, it's a hell of a lot scary acting in that scene if they're all fucking snakes. But a lot of them were legless lizards.
They had the glass when the cobra comes. They had glass.
Oh, there's glass. Yeah,
there's glass there,
sure.
like when it's in Indy's face.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah, apparently in the Well of Souls scene, there's you can notice a golden pillar if you freeze frame it. There's an engraving of R2D2 and C3PO from Star Wars on the wall.
Yeah, very cool.
Very interesting.
Yeah, very cool. All right. Well, that's it for a listen to this, and we're going to roll into notable quotables. So, Gal, you got anything for notable quotables?
Yeah, I got a couple. We got the first one when they're on the boat together in the in the room when she smashes him with
this is the best. I think this is the best line in the movie.
Yeah, no, you're not the man I knew 10 years ago. It's not the years, honey. It's the mileage.
That was ad-libbed.
It was ad-libbed. Yeah, can you believe that? He just came up with that in there. So yeah, really good line. The other one I liked was when he we talked about it before, when the plane blows up and then they take off with the Ark in the Jeeps, and he says to Salo, he says, meet me at Omar's. You know, you fly back to London, meet me at Omar's. Be ready for me. I'm going after that truck. How? I don't know. I'm making this up as I go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which really was what was happening.
That's my life mantra. Thank you, Indiana. Okay, I've got one. It's Marion to Indy. He said you were a bum, Indy. Oh, he was being generous. The most gifted bum he'd ever trained. You know, he loved you like a son. It took a hell of a lot for you to alienate him. Indy, not much, just you.
Just you, yeah. How good. My other one is only just we hit him for asps.
Oh,
very dangerous.
It's great.
You go first.
Snakes. Why did it have to be snakes? Very good. You got any quotes, Morgs?
No, my Asp one is my favourite, and the Life Goes On Indy is the one I say all the time. So Life Goes On Indy.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, then. Someone's favourite segment of the podcast, Film School for F-wits. Take it away.
Yes, fellow F-wits, welcome back to definitely my favourite part of this podcast, Film School for F-wits. This week, I mentioned it before, but I thought we'd look at who wore it best, Hollywood screen style. So there's a bit of a reoccurring part of Hollywood where sometimes when a movie comes out, a very similar copycat movie comes out at around about the same time. And a lot of the time it's people capitalizing on the film. So Raiders of the Lost Ark was absolutely notoriously copied by a lot of filmmakers. So Romancing the Stone is one that comes up a lot as having a similar plot line and similar setup. But if you look into some of the Alan Quatermains and there's just a plethora of films that came out that ripped off Raiders. Do you guys remember many that came out around the time where you're just like, what is that? Is that a Raiders film or what?
Oh, there was Alan Quatermain and the Lost City of Gold. There was
all of that shit. Yeah, I mean,
there were B grade. I've got one which is like, if you like this, you like High Road to China with Tom Selleck.
Yeah, Bess Armstrong.
Armstrong. Yeah, like there was heaps of them that was
Romancing the Stone.
Yeah, there were heaps.
So that's more of an example of executives from other studios just jumping on and saying, well, that just made $370 million, so let's get us some of that. But there's also another copycat phenomena where there's just for whatever reason, films come out with essentially the same plot at the same time. And a lot of it comes down to potentially it's executives moving between studios at the time. So there's in development at one studio, and then they get the hours from that studio and they take it to another studio, and they're like, "Hey, have you guys thought about a volcano movie? Or have you guys thought about a asteroid crashing into Earth film?" So often that's the case. So I'm just going to throw these films at you, and you tell me who you think wore it best as far as Hollywood goes. So the first one I alluded to, so Armageddon versus Deep Impact. So the Bruce Willis joint, Armageddon with Ben Affleck, into the I guess slightly less cartoonish Deep Impact, but both of them pretty far fetched. Came around about the same time, released in the same year, and so it's hard to say if it was a copycat film. Probably more of a development clash or development coincidence at the time. But what do you guys enjoy as far as Armageddon versus Deep Impact?
I think Deep Impact's a better movie. I've watched Armageddon way more than Deep Impact.
Yeah, Armageddon's a bit more, wasn't a slapstick, but
it's a bit more. It's a bit more popcorn.
Armageddon's a cartoon.
That's it.
I think Deep Impact takes itself a little too serious.
It's a bit sanctimonious. But I haven't seen it for a while, but I do remember enjoying it, and it's I guess a little more realistic as far as how you think the preps might go for when there's a world-ending event about to happen. So
Which was the one where the Canadians laughed or cheered when they said Australia got
That was Armageddon. So
then I choose Deep Impact.
Yeah.
Then I choose Deep Impact.
Another more recent one. So Olympus Has Fallen versus White House Down. So why do you want to see both of these?
Absolutely, I have.
Do you have a preference out of those films?
I actually think that Olympus Has Fallen, which is the Jared Butler one, is better than White House Down, which is Channing Tatum.
Yeah.
But they're actually both not bad.
They're very similar.
They are almost identical movies, without a doubt, except one's got a white president and one's got a black president. That's about the only difference, I believe. But it's I actually watched the London Has Fallen, which is awful, and another one which is the last one, which I can't even remember what it's called, but it's terrible as well. But the quintessential one,
brass if they keep remaking it.
Well, Jared Butler he's who is he? He's the modern day Liam Neeson. Right? So he's
good
seen
call.
Liam Neeson's model from the early 2000s and gone, I'm using that one. And he
Ah.
just keeps making, like, he just released another movie called Plane, where he's on the plane. Like, it's like, and apparently it's not bad. Apparently it's not bad from reviews, but I'm like, come on, mate. Like,
What do you
something.
think? What do you think of Den of Thieves?
I don't mind Den of Thieves.
It's obviously a bit of a heat rip-off, but it's again for copycat movies. But it's not a bad twist at the end that you don't see coming, and a bit
it's
obviously
all right.
very, very over the top, his character.
Yes. Yeah,
but
he's a massive overactor.
And obviously Heat wins that copycat battle. But anyway,
without a doubt.
Jared Butler, definitely a stalwart in the copycat movie case. Last one for you to think about, super quick. No Strings Attached versus Friends with Benefits. So you've got the Ashton Kutcher and Natalie Portman joint of when a couple of friends decide, why don't we just have Noonas all the time, versus Justin Timberlake and Mila Kunis. Yeah, doing the same thing. So, Gow, you would have been forced to sit through these two?
No. No.
Because Gow would have remembered them when we brought up rom-coms.
I do remember Friends with Benefits. I've seen parts of that movie. So we'll give it that.
Yeah. They both came out.
What do you think of Justin Timberlake as an actor?
I don't mind him as an actor.
I think he's good.
Same. Good. Yeah, I think
I quite like him.
I haven't seen him have too many dog shit roles. So Alpha Dog, I thought he was excellent. Pretty menacing.
Excellent.
In that. And
it's a great movie.
The Social Network is obviously very good.
Yeah,
as
really good.
Sean what's his name? Sean Parker. Parker, he plays that as a weedy little tech nerd. So, I think he's good. But, mate, No Strings Attached versus Friend with Benefits. I think Sam's maybe sit through it. I reckon I'd spent the whole night on my phone doing other things. So
they should just both burn. They didn't need to be made. What about Volcano and Dante's Peak?
Really good bit. I can only remember seeing Volcano, so I didn't chuck it in here. But what was Dante's Peak like?
So Dante's Peak's got Pierce Brosnan and Linda Hamilton, where they're up in the mountains, and they have to flee the volcano explosion that's going to destroy their town. But Volcano's set in downtown LA. It's like the tar pit in LA. It becomes a volcano and takes over all of LA. So Dante's Peak wins out that one, I think.
Yeah, I haven't seen Volcano, but I remember Dante's Peak wasn't too bad.
Tommy Lee Jones is in Volcano.
Yeah.
Volcano's all right. No, I remember
Don Cheadle.
Volcano.
Yeah, they're not bad. They're not bad.
They had that. Hollywood went on a bit of a disaster movie spree there for a while, where you got Twister
big time.
and all those. The revisiting the disasters. So anyway, that's it.
What's the Rocks one? Movie? Is it the Earthquake?
The Rocks one?
Yeah, the Rock. Does that one about the Earthquake?
What you mean.
Oh, Skyscraper.
San Andreas.
San Andreas.
Yeah. Oh, that's over the top.
Yeah. Well, he does Skyscraper, which takes it to the next level. But in order to make it even more difficult for him, they chop off one of his legs. So he's got a prosthetic leg.
That's right. I've seen that.
And he uses it to like prop doors open and all this kind of stuff. It's like it's his Rambo knife.
Yeah.
Right. It's shocking. Shocking.
I have seen that now. You say it.
Yeah. Okay. So well done, Morgs. Another great film school for F-wits. And now we're going to slide into Stan Bush kick-ass credit song. And I am on the mic tonight. Again, I'm going to run. I could probably name it, but I'm not going to because it might give away the hint of the song, a bit like Morgs the other day.
You fucked 2,000 to death. Definitely not a lot. It was like a Bon Jovi song there. Not a lot of metaphor.
In fact, I can call the song. I'm just going to call it "I'm a Raider of the Lost Ark." That's Excellent. The name of the song.
Doesn't really give away too much.
Doesn't give too much away, but that's just what I've named it now. So I've just got to, of course, go through the motions of remembering the tune and then bust this out. Okay, here we go. I'm a Raider of the Lost Ark. By day, I'm a professor. By night, I slay the chicks. Archaeology is pretty cool. Just ask me. Yes, I'm slick. Dodging darts and stealing treasure. It's a job that pays me well. Dodging bullets and boulders and darts in an ancient cave. For me, it's heaven. For some, it's hell. Named after a dog by my ancient dad. I'll steal the Ark from the Nazis. Their beliefs are a fad. I'm a Raider of the Lost Ark. I don't give a fuck. With my gun and my whip, I'm fully equipped. I'm a Raider of the Lost Ark. Don't believe what you hear. A pension for the young ladies. She was of age, to be clear. I'm a Raider of the Lost Ark. I don't give a fuck. Reflexes of a cat and a fucking cool hat.
Very nice. Very nice. You couldn't resist the arc rhyme, could you?
Ark and Fark. It was staring me in the face. It was staring me in the
You
face.
tried to squeeze
Very
quite a
good.
few syllables into one of those.
Yeah,
one of
it
the
was.
clauses.
Yeah, I fuck up every time. Don't get me wrong. It's the dodging bullets and dodging boulders and darts in an ancient cave. That's where I tried to throw that all in. For me, it's heaven. For some, it's hell. So that's I'm a raider of a lost ark. Not
Nice
my best,
work.
but
Well played.
not
Nice
my
work.
worst.
Good work.
All right. So, star of the show, and we'll start with you, Gow. Who are you giving star of the show to for Raiders of the Lost Ark?
I'm giving it to Harrison Ford. He's awesome.
Yeah.
Not much more to be said. I really like him in this role.
Yeah.
It's it just suits him to the ground. It suits him so well. Wouldn't have minded seeing Tom Selleck play that role. Don't know.
Yeah,
I don't think he would have done a bad
in a
job.
different world,
Different
I
way.
think
But I'm going to give it to Harrison Ford.
What about you, Dan?
I'm going to give it to Lawrence Kasdan, the screenwriter, who we didn't talk a lot about, but I just think this. You said it, Whitey. This is flawless. This is incredible movie making, and how seamless they get. There's not a bit of this movie where you're thinking, my God, come on, get on with it. This is boring. Like but it doesn't feel like set piece to set piece to set piece, which you would think like a John Wick film does. So I think that he's done an incredible job. Went on to work, obviously, with Spielberg and George Lucas on a lot of the Star Wars flicks as well. Most notably, I think Empire Strikes Back, which we all agree is probably the best script of the Star Wars franchise. Lawrence Kasdan, you did a great job, sir. Well righted.
Yeah, absolutely. This is one of the ones where you could give it to the script writer, you could give it to the director, but I'm going to give it to Harrison Ford. As good as a movie may have been with Magnum PI in it, this movie begins and ends with him. He's a superstar, and he's the biggest star in the world at this point in time. And watching this, you can see why. So I'm going to give it to Harrison Ford in a tight race. Okay, so again, I watch this movie regularly anyway, so it was nothing new for me to revisit Raiders of the Lost Ark, but I enjoy it every single time. As Morg said, doesn't get boring. It's lean, it's mean, it's just quality. So if you love this, what else are you going to love, Dan?
Yeah, I had a good think about this. So there's two things that I suggest you revisit. One of them is just the sequel, Temple of Doom, which gets a little maligned in the critique community. So very dark, a bit more slapstick, but it's a fucking great movie. So it's, again, I would have a lot of trouble showing my children Temple of Doom, but as an adult to go and revisit it, I just think it's an incredible movie-making experience again. So I think if you love Raiders of the Lost Ark, they just dial it up like you have to with a lot of sequels, because you can't just serve up the same thing again. So everything gets the extreme button hit on it as far as all the scenes. But again, the opening scene of Temple of Doom is another notable that you could have mentioned before in incredible opening scenes. So, that I wouldn't suggest you go and look at the Alan Quatermains or the Librarians or the Mummies or the other films that ripped off Raiders of the Lost Ark. They can't live up to how good this is. But the other one was a TV series, which I've just been fascinated by since I was a kid, because it's just one of those memories that stay with me from that time of my life in the 80s, and it's Tales of a Gold Monkey, which I thought was a direct rip-off of Raiders of the Lost Ark at the time. So you guys probably don't remember. Gow, you might remember it, because you're very good normally with TV shows from that era.
I know the name, and I'm just trying to place it. Tales of the Golden Monkey.
I've never heard of it.
It's rates really high on IMDb. So it's only one season. It was about 20 episodes though. So just some real similar symbols from Raiders of the Lost Ark. So it's not rumored to have been a direct rip-off of Raiders of the Lost Ark, but once you see, if you go onto YouTube and check out the trailers for it and stuff, it's I haven't seen it for years and years and years and years and years, but I just remember it super fondly from that time. It was on pretty late, so I had to beg to be able to see it at the time. But yeah, Tales of a God Monkey, check it out if you liked Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Okay, what about you, G?
Look, I had in here one we touched on before, Romancing the Stone with Michael Douglas and Kathleen Turner. So I find it's around the same time frame, but the similarities to me are, and the story's slightly different, but they're traveling around. The two of them have a great interaction together. But it's just the wittiness of it. It's a little bit slapstick, or it's a little bit pop. Is that the term, popcorn? I guess.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a little bit like that. There's some danger there, but it's all sort of, it's fairly lighthearted in the end. So I would have thought that. And then Jewel of the Nile, that was 84 actually, and then Jewel of the Nile came out 85. Both really, really good movies. I haven't watched them in a long time, but I do remember thinking back. And then the opening scene of Romance in the Stone was really good too.
Romance in the Stone is a great movie.
Yeah.
Really good. Jewel and I'm not a huge fan of, but Romance in the Stone is excellent.
Well, Jewel of the Nile, obviously they went, hey, we captured lightning in a bottle here. Let's do it again.
Yeah.
But look, I think that just from the style of movie, that's a similarity. If you like Raiders, you may like that.
Yep. Okay, well, Morgs took some of my thunder, and I'm still going to recommend it. But 1999's The Mummy is a good go. A fun movie. It's really well acted. It's a great script, well directed. It's good fun. Disregard all the sequels after that.
That's a fair call. Yeah. Now I'm thinking back, it's probably the sequels that have bastardized it for me. But no, the original
Scorpion
one, you're right.
King.
Yeah,
The original one is great fun. I saw it at the movies. I saw it at the movies with you, I think, Dan, because I remember you came out going, actually better than I anticipated.
Yeah. No, you're right.
And it's a lot of fun. I actually just watched it recently again with Isabel. She loved it. It's a little bit scary. It's a little bit dark, but it's a lot of fun. Brendan Fraser was at the top of his game, peak of his powers for that.
What about Tomb Raider? Is that sort of similar?
Yeah.
No,
that's
I mean,
cool.
it's a female lead, so it's different that way.
Terrible movies, though.
Yeah.
Terrible movies. One other one I've got, which is 2004's National Treasure with Nick Cage and Diane Kruger.
I haven't seen that.
Mate, I tell you what, it's not bad. It's not bad. It's good fun. It's a Disney movie, so you know what you're going to get. But it's that whole treasure hunt, find the clues, who's going to get there first. It's got Sean Bean in it as well, playing the bad guy. It's a good movie. It's well worth it. Again, disregard the sequel, which is not great, but there's actually just been a TV series released on Disney Plus, National Treasure, and there's talk they're going to do a third one with the original cast in it, Nick Cage and Diane Kruger and Justin Bartha from Hangover. So it's worth a watch for the kids. Good one you can watch with the kids. Really is.
Nice.
We've spoken about the other ones. Sliding into the rank bank, and I've got a few options here for us. I've got Fourth Degree Burnt Hands. I've got Unfortunate Propeller Accidents. Poison Dates. Creepy French Archaeologists. Vengeful Ghosts. Or Melting Skulls. Anything else we can think of?
Shitload of snakes.
Yeah.
Could be a shitload of snakes.
Asps.
Asps.
Very dangerous asps.
What about very dangerous asps? I'm happy. What do we think? We happy with asps?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do asps.
All right. So how many very dangerous asps are you giving Raiders of the Lost Ark?
Oh, look, this movie for a long time had a special place in my heart. I watched this a lot when I was young. It was such a great movie. I always loved the action adventure. As we said, it's mild. It's not that full on. It's a good, easy watch, and you can put it on again now and just watch it. And it's an easy watch. So I'm going to give it 4 very dangerous asps.
4. Wow. Okay. What about you, Dan, up there on the land? How many very dangerous asps are you giving Raiders?
Yeah, you're being fucking harsh lately.
He has been super harsh.
This is a 5 out of 5 movie experience. You cannot top it. It's absolutely flawless. It's fast-paced. It's made for the big screen. I echo the thoughts of my illustrious colleague, M. White, in hoping that someone brings this to a re-release in a digital remaster to the big screen, and I'd be straight there to see it. Marie Kondo can get fucked. I'll be revisiting this many times in the future. 5 out of 5 for me. Well played, Spielberg and Lucas et al.
Yeah, look, it's a hard one for me, but I agree, Dan. I'm giving this 5 out of 5.
Wow, there you go.
I love Raiders of the Lost Ark. I think it is so good, so rewatchable. There is nothing wrong with this movie, and so I talk about it. It's not my favorite movie. Probably it may not even be in my top 10 most favorite movies, but there is nothing wrong with this film. It is a flawless piece of cinema, and it is hats off to Steven Spielberg. Okay, so let's see where that puts Raiders of the Lost Ark in the rank bank. Gow, take it away.
Hold on. So we've got it up here. Raiders of the Lost Ark has come in at 4.67 very dangerous asps, which is Equal with Lethal Weapon on 4.67 80s flowing mullets. Above The Thing at 4.5 flamethrowers. So this puts us into
Equal first.
spot.
Wow.
Now, I think that's pretty good. It's right up there with Lethal Weapon.
Yeah.
Nice work.
Absolutely. I think that it should be there. I think it's, as I said, I think it's a flawless piece of cinema. What do you think, Dan?
Yeah,
Worthy?
that seems good. I'll watch that. I'll watch Lethal Weapon again and love it. The Thing, obviously, love it. So, yeah, well played, us.
Yep.
I think that is a really good reflection of where it should be, right up at the top.
Yep.
You know,
I agree.
towards that top at least. So
I agree. Okay. What are we watching? We'll start with you, Gow.
I've been watching The Last of Us. Been binged the last couple of episodes this week. Good series. Really liked it.
Is the fourth episode out yet?
Yeah, I watched it last night.
Good.
I know everyone jumped over the
very good.
third episode and said it was unreal. I thought it was a bit of a filler episode. I thought this episode was better. It's giving us much more of the story.
You're a dark-hearted bastard.
Yeah.
No, well, the story was fine, and it's a nice story. But I'll put it this way: I don't know what that adds to the series as we move on with those characters. So it's the third episode in. Where does that go? Where does that storyline take us?
It's a valid argument.
Is what I'm.
But
that's all I'm saying.
No. I posed this question on TikTok and on YouTube this week for Born to Watch. Now, does this story, episode 3 of Last of Us, hold the same weight if it's a hetero relationship? And I don't think it does. It's obviously there's some woke politicizing going on, but the acting, the incredible episode.
No, fantastic. I think it was a great episode. It's not that. I just don't understand where it puts us in the show.
Sure. Yep.
Because they literally had those two guys, and there's a whole relationship, and then they come in when they're gone, and then they take off.
Yep.
So
let me ask you this:
let's draw the.
Do you ever do a shuffle dance on TikTok?
I have never danced on TikTok, nor shall I. Even though my daughter keeps asking us to do a dance. And
I think, they rate really well, and I think you should.
Well, maybe when we're all together, we can all do a TikTok together.
He'd be the new Nathan Cleary. Didn't he dance on TikTok?
He did.
He got hammered for it, didn't he?
Yeah, it was during a lockdown.
COVID, yeah.
All right. What about you, Dan? What are you watching?
I just binged all 3 seasons of Mr. In Between over the weekend.
Oh, cracker.
Well done. And was just reminded of how brilliant Scott Ryan is and Nash Edgerton and all of the team that put that together. So he's starting to surface again. He's been over in Hollywood, Mr. Ryan, meeting with execs over there. So I think we'll see something from him reasonably soon, or at least hear about what's in development. But yeah, what an absolute boss. Really love that. But other than that, just kept keeping up with Mayor of Kingstown and Last of Us. Looking forward to the fourth episode of that one.
Mr. In Between is one of my favourite series. I think he's just so good. He's just so
good's
down to earth and laid back.
Matt Nable's one of my favourite to watch, but his character is just so. I just really love that whole series. It's awesome.
Yeah,
it's incredible.
It's really good.
It's incredible.
Really, really good.
Yeah. If you want to watch that, guys, it's on. It is on Foxtel, I think, at the moment for our Aussie listeners, and it's a HBO. Pretty sure it's a HBO joint.
FX joint.
It's an FX joint in the States. So definitely watch it. It's quality. It's some of Australian TV. Some of the best of it.
Great.
Yeah,
great. 8.6 on IMDb. So everyone loves it.
I reckon that's low.
low.
Yeah.
Good at it.
That's a 9 every day of the week.
How good? How good? Wait, sorry, just last bit of Mr. In Between, but
right.
Gaza, his mate. Oh my god.
How good's Gaza?
Pee Man.
Oh, the Pee Man. Just so funny.
Yeah, he's very good. Okay, so I've been watching Last of Us, loving it. Watched the latest episode last night. It's a good episode.
Yeah, I liked it.
Finished on a good little cliffhanger there, which we haven't had a cliffhanger.
No, well, it's starting to pull you in to go, what's next?
Yeah, we're starting to see what's happening outside.
Shorter episode too.
Yeah, it was 44 minutes. The next one's another hour episode.
Because we were watching it, and Josh and I, and then we're like, what?
Yeah.
It's gone.
I've also started to revisit some old favourites of mine, Lost and The X-Files, just to fill in a bit of time. And a movie I watched this week, The Martian. Ridley Scott's The Martian. Love it. Matt Damon. So good. Marooned on Mars.
Yep.
Has to find
winner of the best comedy or musical Academy Award.
Yes.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, I know. It's incredible. But it's a great film. Love it. Okay. Another good episode is in the rear view mirror for Born to Watch.
Now, have we got any lick outs this week or what?
Well, we do. but we're going to leave them till next week.
What are you talking about? You know I'm
We're
only
building-
in here for the praise
I know
and
you're
the
only-
freight.
I know that's
praise
I know
and
that's
freight. Praise and freight.
We had a message from Perp. She was watching. She was doing her homework last night, watching Raiders of the Lost Ark, saying sorry she's been a bit distant, but she's still hoping there's room for her in the broom closet. And I said there's always be room for her in the broom closet. There's no doubt. And again, we can't thank Johnny Bull enough for being our lone merchandise purchaser so far.
Good on you, Johnny.
Get a photo, mate. Make sure you post it on socials. And we're going to be doing a photo shoot with the three hunks in the studio here in our merchandise quite shortly. So join the team. Okay, next week, we're going to throw this one open and we're going to have a discussion here and we're going to keep it in the podcast. And the options for next week, we've got 6 to choose from. We've got LA Confidential. We've got Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. RoboCop. Chef. Moneyball. Or Warrior.
Robocop.
I like RoboCop. I like Warrior, Moneyball.
Dead
What
or
was the first
alive,
one?
you're coming with me.
LA Confidential.
LA Confidential would be a good one. But I'm happy with RoboCop.
you
We
know
could
what?
do RoboCop.
Do you know what we
Bitches
haven't done?
leave.
Yeah, there's some great one-liners, Morgs, that you used a lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
I haven't
over
seen
the
it for
years.
ages. Let's do Robocop.
Yeah.
Let's do
Okay.
RoboCop. So next
RoboCop
week we're
sounds
going to be
good.
doing RoboCop. It's going to be a lot of fun. Another great movie. Bit out there, but a lot of fun.
Oh, I'm up for the song too.
Oh, yeah.
I have to channel Bernie for RoboCop.
Yeah. I reckon you got this.
We'll see.
You got this. Okay, look, for us this week, it's been an enjoyable episode of Raiders of the Lost Ark, sitting pretty on top of the pile with Lethal Weapon at number 1 in the rank bank. Excited about that. Where RoboCop will sit, only next week will let us know. But for now, catch you later.
See you, everybody.
Bitches leave.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Born to Watch. To join us on our journey into some of our favourite movies of all time, you can find us on all good podcast networks like Spotify and Apple Podcasts. If you like what you hear, give us a 5-star review and share with your friends.